What up there, people? I am back again. I am here to review Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge. This is the second one of the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. This is the one I think is a little divisive because there's a lot of people who just do not like this movie. I'm in the camp that loves it. I think there's weird shit in it, very homoerotic shit, but I think it's a solid film. And in my opinion, Freddy is scary as fuck in this movie, and I love his look in it. I've always preferred the Freddy in those first two films. He's just to me much scarier. But so I remember seeing this film like I think it was 2013 because the Nightmare franchise was one I got into way later because I had up until that point I'd only seen the first one. Then I think I seen parts of Wes Craven's New Nightmare, and yeah, I should have mentioned this earlier. I'm not including Freddy versus Jason in the Friday the 13th franchise because in my view, Freddy versus Jason is a Freddy movie just with Jason. So in my view, I decided I'm gonna review the Freddy versus Jason in the Nightmare franchise. So I will be adding it as part of the night because it's a Freddy film. Like, he gets all the story in my opinion. So this film is supposed in story and timeline wise. This is supposed to be 5 years after the events of the first film, and Nancy's not in it. We have a lead named Jesse, who I think is okay. Very, I get it. A lot of people didn't like the whole gay allegory, but I don't think it's very. It's not. There was one scene where it's on the fucking nose, and I will get to it, but I don't think it's as bad. So we are introduced to the Walsh family. Jesse, who's the main character, his dad and mom, and then he has this young baby sister named Angela, and they moved in, and they bought the house cheaper than. So and basically Jesse. Oh, the film really starts off with a bad dream. It's Jesse dreaming he's going on the school bus, and the school bus goes off course, and it turns out it's Freddy driving the bus, and he's in the bus with two girls, and it turned out to be a dream. So something because the house is this is they moved into Nancy's house, so they live there now. So then we meet Lisa, who's basically his love interest of the movie. We also meet his friend. We have I'm trying to find the dude's name. Grady. So Grady, who kind of starts off as like kind of fucking with him in the beginning of the film. Then so basically there's that. They have a quick talk. Then we have another scene. This is where Freddy is basically revealed to him, and basically you have a cool. This is probably one of my favorite lines when he's like, "You got the body, I got the brain." Like, it's a very good line. Kind of freaks Grady, and that's basically the first hour. So I'll say it is a little bit slow in the beginning, like because it's very much about establishing his nightmares. There's a very cheesy scene where he's like dancing and listening to like super 80s music because this came out a year after the first one, so it's 1985 when this film was released. Then he has another dream, but this time where Freddy basically he sees the glove and Freddy wants him to use it. So the next day, Jesse goes to a bar, the gay bar. So this is we're getting to the it's a little bit on the nose here. He goes to a gay bar, and and gets caught because he was about to buy a beer by his coach, who I guess is gay. Then for some reason, this part is a little weird. Why did for some reason, he makes Jesse run in the hall in the gym. I don't know why. Why would he take him back to school? Wouldn't he just driven him home? But whatever. Horror movie rules, right? So he makes him run, and then he's about to take a shower. Freddy comes, kills Coach Schneider, and there's this one part where basically he's like throwing balls at Coach Schneider. Okay, that is the part where it is a bit on the nose with the gay stuff. So, but Freddy ends up killing Schneider because he has him tied up in the shower, and then not guts him, but slices him with the claws. And then the next day learns about the murder, and it turns out basically Jesse is being possessed by Freddy because the way scene ended, it ended with the claws on his hands and the blood. After that, he's driven home. The next day, to um he goes to the boiler room, and nothing happens. There's one scene where the family is oh, I should have mentioned this earlier. There's another scene where the family is just chilling, and all of a sudden their bird freaks out and then just spontaneously blows up. You have that scene, and there's a scene with a toaster catching on fire without the power, and this is where we learn that the dad bought the house cheaper because he knew about what happened before. So Lisa and him, now back to the boiler room scene. Nothing really interesting happens. Then later that night, Freddy almost takes over and basically almost has himself kill his sister. I thought this scene was actually really good. And so nothing happens there. Jesse starts basically. Oh, yeah, Lisa's throwing a party at her house. Very 80s, plays a lot of 80s music. Jesse and Lisa are about to hook up, and then all of a sudden, basically, Freddy starts taking over and makes his tongue like really long. So he freaks out, runs off to Grady's house. This is another scene where they kind of do lay it on thick. It's like you're hooking up with this girl, and then you run off on her, meet up with your friend. He basically tells Grady about Freddy's possession, and basically tells Grady, just watch me while I sleep. Kind of a little bit of a callback to the first. Then Freddy ends up coming, and they have a really cool scene where Freddy basically cuts his way out of Jesse. I still don't necessarily get how he didn't die from that, but it was really cool. And basically, Freddy forms, and then Grady tries to get out of the room, but I guess he's locked in the room, and Freddy ends up killing Grady, and throws the glove back on Jesse. And I thought Jesse had the actor who played Jesse here did a pretty good job here with his reaction when he saw. It's like when he's like, "You killed him," and Freddy kind of laughs and goes off. Then basically he goes back to Lisa's house, all covered in blood, and he tells her finally basically what really happened. And oh, there was a scene earlier where they found Nancy's diary. Should have mentioned that earlier, but it was a little quick scene. So she basically found a way to beat him, but then Freddy comes, takes over, tries chasing her throughout the house. Lisa begs for her life, and you have a scene where Jesse kind of comes through, and then Freddy throws her out of the way. Then you have, in my opinion, one of my favorite scenes in the movie, even if it kind of broke the rules a bit about. I think another thing a lot of people didn't like about this movie, the dream scenes don't feel like dream scenes. And I get it. Even in like the first one, there was a way they did it. I understand. This one did kind of break rules. So Freddy starts attacking the party, boils the pool, flames everywhere. Have a kind of a cool shot of him starting to slice everybody up. And the guy's like, "I'm gonna help you." And he's like, "Help yourself, fucker." I thought the line was good. I thought he had some good lines in this one. So throws him in the boiling pool, says, "You are all my children now," and then basically walks away. And then Lisa basically has to go to the power plant where Freddy worked, and basically confront him. There's a shot of these like dogs with weird. You have some cool, weird, eerie, like, Then when she gets there, she sees dogs, confronts Freddy, and basically tells you could beat him, Jesse. Kind of like a very cheesy, like you could beat him from the within. Then basically Freddy burns the power plant basically starts burning, and basically Freddy dies, and Jesse comes back, and the horror is over. And then the next morning, everything seems kind of cool, and they go on the bus, but then they tease like another one. It turns out it is Freddy, or he like cuts his way out of. I forgot. I think out of it was Lisa's friend, and then that's how they ended it. So that was Nightmare 2. Overall, this film has some wonky scenes, I will give it. I think Jesse's an okay lead. I think this film is. I get it. I can understand people's eyes that Nightmare 3 is the true sequel to the first. This one is almost like a. It's not. I don't. I can understand that. Like, Nightmare 3 brings back Nancy. You kind of go back to the original. Where the only thing from this, the carryover from the first one and this one, is they're at his house, or not his house, Nancy's house. But I overall like Freddy in this. I really he's fucking scary. And don't be wrong, I love the third one, but Freddy in those first two, I like the way his birds looked more unnerving, and he wasn't like jokey. He was, and even when he was kind of joking, it was almost like scary. Like, that's how he should be. I just think they go a little bit far, not in the third one, but after the third one, I would say. But I overall like this film. Definitely, when I watch a Nightmare on Elm Street marathon, I put this one in. And I think there are parts of it I like better than 3. I can understand a lot of people's eyes. I get the weird homoerotic stuff at some parts, but I don't think it's bad. And especially considering we have Freddy's dead in this franchise. There's no way this is that bad. Freddy's dead, and then even the fifth one wasn't that good. Like, there's worse Freddy movies. Nightmare 2 to me is one of the better ones. Out of 10, I'd give it. It's nowhere near the first, so I would give it, though, like an 8. About an 8, yeah. I really love this film. The soundtrack's man. I don't think the theme. I'll admit the score is not as good. I think the score is a lot better in the first. But I overall dig Freddy in this. The scene where he's killing kids at the party was kind of cool, even if it did break rules. And Jesse's a decent lead. Lisa's an okay love interest. I think everyone kind of served their roles in this movie. But Freddy's obviously the MVP. Other than that, guys. Hold on. I know this review was a little bit short, but I mean, good movie, but there's just not a lot to it. I'll admit in that sense, compared to Nightmare 3 even. Nightmare 3 I think more does somewhat happen, but I do like this movie. And definitely I do find myself, like I said, watching it when I do a marathon. But other than that, guys, I'll talk to you guys next time. Tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm going to be getting back. We're going to continue. We have 2 more Jason movies to review. Jason X, and then we're going to get to the remake. So I'm doing Jason X tomorrow. And then Friday, I'm going to rant. It's going to be I'm going to do a wrestling video. So, a wrestling related video. But other than that, guys, I'll talk to you guys next time. Peace.